4, 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, how is everyone doing today on this glorious over hot day? I'm Horlicks, and obviously we've got Penny here, who is our other co-host.
Hello everyone. Sorry, I think I was on mute. Hello everyone. So today we've got issue 27. I'm a little bit mixed about this. I've not built it, so I can't give a judgment. But this is the issue that I personally have been looking forward to because it looks like we're going to fix the front wheels onto the chassis. But there's a little bit that might just annoy us all. I will
Yes.
come to that later on.
My
So now,
mouth, my jaw hit the floor when when I found out.
yeah. So anyone who has seen the instructions on this and has built every issue from one to this issue will, when they see it, they'll go, "Oh my God." I got a comment on last week's video, which I would like to address on on this stream, if you wouldn't mind. It's a couple of days ago from someone called Straight Talk, and I thought it was a very excellent question. And it's lots and lots of questions in the comments. And they said, "Did you subscribe on day one?" Which I did. I bought issue 1 from the newsagents, but I subscribed from issue 2. Obviously, you buy issue 1, you assess whether or not you think it's going to be worth it. I thought yes, it was. So then I subscribed. Is it worth subscribing now, considering the issues with Eagle Moss? I think by that they're talking about. I heard that there was a part work company went bust. But I don't think it's one of the main part works. I think it is. There was this issue about the TV adverts being banned, and there was a video. Someone's put up a video on YouTube, which I'll go through later on, and they've basically said that the Advertising Commission has deemed that you can get a refund or something if you're not completely satisfied. So I would say if Hachette were to go bankrupt before the end of this, I think that would class as um, not completely satisfied. Although you probably wouldn't get your money back because they're bankrupt, you'd have a claim for something. So I personally think it's worth a chance. Do I work for the company? Absolutely not. Would absolutely love to, though. I would love to do all of their builds. There's a guy on Model Space and he does all of their builds. And I would love nothing more than to do that as a full-time job. But sadly, I do not work for the company. And do I expect the company to go bankrupt anytime soon? Listen, I'm not an expert in this field. I don't know the ins and outs. This magazine looks very popular and they do lots of different magazines. And I know that there's a couple that they keep re-releasing. Cake decorating, they re-release, and people keep buying it. I spoke to one of the news agents and they said, yeah, cake decorating is selling. And that's been re-released 4 times. So people are buying these magazines. So on that basis, I would say I don't expect the company to go bankrupt. Well, certainly not anytime soon.
No.
I'm also hearing rumours of releases at the end of Routemasters. So they're planning 2 years ahead.
And the only thing maybe I could squeeze in my little issue I've got.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
While we're on that sort of subject, I think I've obviously come into the Routemaster build late, so I just, it's okay. I'm all right about it. It's something to look forward to, I suppose. But I'm only up to issue 6 of build the classic Routemaster now, and I was expecting my delivery anytime now, and it did come 3 days ago. However, when I opened the packet, I was greeted with issues 23, 24, 25, and 26. Bearing in mind, I'm only at issue 6. So I have been in contact with them. There's not really a lot that can be done. And all it is that they're out of stock on 4 issues that coincide the ones that I need. So they can't send them out incomplete. So they've sent me the first 4 that are available. so I'm having to wait for the in-between issues. So it's just something to think about. Obviously, if you're planning on starting it sort of now, this could happen to you.
Which again, if they're selling out of issues, that kind of underlines the fact that they are selling,
Yeah,
or they're just chucking them out willy-nilly to people who ask for them.
yeah,
But
yeah.
didn't you get a free gift?
I did. Yeah. Where have I put it? Is
Well, I've
that?
actually got mine here.
I don't actually know. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Yeah. Got the London Transport badge, and it's really weighty.
Yeah.
Um, and what is that? The free gift for the second or third delivery?
It's the free gift for the second from last delivery. The seventh delivery, is it? And
Right.
the ninth delivery will get, I think it's a 1:43 scale bus.
So how come? Why do you think I've got mine so early then? Because I've only had 2 deliveries from Hachette.
My only guess is that you've probably gone into a certain cycle that you want these particular issues, and because they've got um I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I'm so sorry. Because you've got that particular pack, it's probably also triggered the free gift.
Right. So
So
the question will be now then, which is slightly worrying, will I get the other free gifts that were prior to this?
I would say if you don't get your free gifts, you ring up and ask for them
Yeah.
because it does say on the website these free gifts with these certain issues. One of the subscriptions I had for another magazine with Eagle Moss, I think it was, that I was expecting a free gift. And I said to them, oh, I didn't receive my free gift. And they said, oh, it's been sent by separate post. And it came about 2 weeks later. So I think they forgot. Hello, Basic Miniature Painting. I'm glad you received the screw pot. There was a bit of a cock up with the post. I sent it out last week, promise. And it's one of these post offices inside a convenience store. And I saw them Monday, and they'd apologised to me, and they said that they had a young guy working in the shop, and they'd put it in the wrong bag. So instead of putting it in the bag for the postman to collect, they'd put it in the bag for a customer to collect. And it wasn't until the customer came and said, "Oh, hang on, these aren't for me," that they realised what had happened. So they didn't actually go out to. I think they said Monday they went out. So I really do apologise, but I've had four bits of feedback that have pots have been received now. So they have definitely gone out, obviously. Um, so I do apologise. But yeah, it's all sorted. But I hope they bring you joy. And sorry, I've been talking while with Horlicks on, which is nice. You know, it's nice to see Horlicks, but we try and get this so that I'm on when I talk. Right, so we're going to try out a new little system today. What we're going to do, we spoke about this last week. Sorry if I'm only jogging your memory, Horlicks. What we're going to do is before we do uh, the the actual build for each part, we're going to bring it up on screen, which Horlicks is going to arrange all of that so that we just flick over to Horlicks. So you'll get to see a picture of the actual stage that we're about to construct, and then we'll crack on to that stage, and hopefully that will make life. So rather than me trying to show you little bits, we can actually show you on the diagram, if that makes sense. So shall we check the parts and get on with issue 27?
Yes, let's do that.
Right. So my impression of this is that there's not quite the same as I watched one of your R2D2 videos the other day, and you said, don't be put off by the number of parts. There's a hell of a lot to do. I wouldn't say that about this issue. But what I would say is that there seems to be a lot more to do than the parts suggest. There's quite a few parts, but I think there's a lot more work because I think we're going to be putting parts together that we've built in previous issues. Right, so these are my parts out, and we've got a nice little bit of hefty lump there. So if if you're a volume builder, you've got your satisfied there, and then there's some small parts as well. So it looks like everyone's going to be happy this week. So, right. Would you like to go through the parts?
Yes, okay, so 27A is a left beam.
Okay. And if you don't mind, I'm going to do 27A and 27B.
Yeah.
At this particular stage, I don't know which is which, but obviously it will become clear once we build. Let me just move that light up so we don't get quite so much glare. Okay, so we've got two metal parts here, so obviously it's going to involve some strength, and it'll be easy. Well, I guess that's the way they're going to go, or no, that way. That's my guess. So yeah, they're fine, and they're metal. They look lovely.
Lovely.
So yep.
Okay, 27C is a steering bar.
Steering bar. That looks like this one, which is actually plastic. Sorry, I'm just gonna fiddle with my focus. You know I'm not very good with this focus and stuff. What I need is a mind control computer. There we go. So nicely detailed, made of plastic.
Okey-doke. 27D is a cross rod.
Okay, and this is metal. And there's obviously that's going to get screwed in both ends, I'm guessing, from the hole.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, 27E and F are left and right mountings.
Oh, and these are metal. They look very highly detailed. Quite impressive. Yeah.
Lovely. And then you should have 4 lots of screws. AM, 1.7 by 3 mil, yeah. FM, 2.3 by 4 mil. 21 of those, yeah.
An awful lot.
EM screws, 1.5 by 4 mil.
Yep.
And then CM, 1.7 by 4 mil.
And this is what made me suggest that there's a lot more work to do than the part suggests, because I can't see 21 screw holes between these parts, and that's just how many FM screws we've got. And we've got these as well. So, yeah, it looks like we've got a lot of work to do. Right, so stage 1 should look something like this. So if I get the parts ready, that's quite handy, actually. Well, if you want to read the description, and then while you read the description, I can get the parts ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and is the I've got my screen share on. Is that on?
Yeah, I've turned you over to your. Yes, it is. I've flicked you over to your.
Okay, lovely. So yeah, take the right beam 27B and identify the fixing point for the steering bar 27C circled. Fix in place with an AM screw.
Okay, so I've nearly got the screws ready. So that idea worked in theory, but isn't quite perfected. And it would help if I get the screwdrivers out, wouldn't it? And my washing up liquid somewhere. Okay, so sorry guys. Do you know what? I don't like that light up high now. Sorry, on another day I'll be ready. Okay, so right. Got me bit ready. And right, some of you more observant people might have spotted my clamp. That's a bit of a clue as to what's coming later on. Okay, so we want to take the right. This is the right beam. Now, what I've done is my reference point is this notch there. If I go back, you see. Oh, I can't see it. I'm looking for my mouse. You see that little notch on the left-hand side, and then the bar actually kind of sags down in the middle as we go, and that's how I've got this. Okay.
Right, Penny, you're still on. Oh, there you go. You've just changed.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So we're going to attach this. There is 2 holes there. Trying to get good focus points. Right, and then there we've got a screw hole, and we've got a low. Oh, I can't get the focus right today. It's just not happening for me. Right, there we go. So you see we've got a locating pin there, and that's going to pop into. Oh, struggling today. Actually, I think in all fairness, I struggle most weeks, don't I? Right, there we go. So that's gone in absolutely fine. And we're going to pop in an AM screw there. And because it's an AM screw, I'm just going to pop in a little blob of washing up liquid.
Yeah.
Your next door neighbour's dog, I can hear.
It's about 2 or 3 down. It's just constant.
Yeah. There we go. I love your idea of putting that in a pot.
I am just really, really, really surprised that you didn't do that before.
Do you know what? As soon as you mention it, I'm surprised as well, because I tried to have all my little pots of paint and stuff organised, and on that one I didn't organise it. So, I don't know if that's going in. It's just screwing and screwing and screwing. So that doesn't seem to want to go in. So I'll just do a little test first. Think that's not. I'm going to need a little tiny bit more force on that. I think that's going to have to. How are you, David Fern? Right, that's too big.
Well, is it obviously that's? Is it definitely an AM screw? It hasn't been mixed up in the bag or anything.
I've only. It fits, but it's not wanting to go through. I'll try the other one. And if this one fails, I'll get my pot of spares out, and I'll see. I'll double check. It is going in. Oh, there you go. That's gone in better. I think I've got to apply that with a bit. Do you know what? I think I've actually found a screwdriver that doesn't work. I'll tell you what. I'll use the best head, shall I? Right, that is a real struggle. That's having to cut there. I think it's a little bit blocked up with paint, but it's not going all the way through. But there is supposed to be a piece in there. So, right, so we'll try again. So if that doesn't go in well for you guys, just give it a little bit. You're not trying to push it all the way through, but just give it a little bit of force. So I think I've got it through enough, because like I say, it's going to be raised. Yeah, it's going to need a bit of force. Oh, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, that's not going anywhere now.
Brilliant.
Okay, so do you want to have a look at part 2? That's section 1 done.
Yeah, that's 1. And then part 2.
So what are we calling that? That's a steering bar and the right beam. Okay, so part 2.
Okay, fit the right mounting 27F to the right beam 27B and fix in place with 2 FM screws. Okay. Repeat to fit the left mounting 27E to the left beam 27A.
Okay, and that's the other side is the bit just above. Right, just get me FM screws ready.
One thing I haven't got here, Penny, which you may need to check, on next to instruction 2, I've got a red arrow. Is there another circle with a tip in it or something?
No, it's a red arrow to say that continue to next page.
Right, okay.
Or that's what it looks like to me. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment just to check, because obviously you've got these two mountings, and I want to make sure I've got the right one. Oh, brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay. Okay, you're going to like this, guys. Right. So, what we've got here, I've got the wrong mounting. Right. Now, if you see the way that the screws are lined up, they're not going to fit. If you try to turn it upside down, again, that's not going to fit. And obviously, it's not going to look right if you put it this way. And actually, that's got an L on it. I've just noticed that. That's got an L, so I assume this will have an R on it. And let's see if there's an L and an R. There we go. That's got an R on it. You know what? I didn't notice that until now. So we can assume the other rod's got an L on it. There we go. So we've got, this is the right-hand side. This is the part we've just done. And so we get the right. And that makes sense. Now, if we put it on upside down, I can't get those holes to line up properly. See? They're nearly there, but they're not quite right. If you now turn it this way round, you feel it wants to go in there. So that's how you get it the right way round. So this is the right-hand side. And hopefully these screws will go in a bit easier than the last one. These are quite big, meaty screws, actually. Oh, they got in easily. Right, so I've just popped that one in until it's bitten. Put a bit too much washing up liquid on, so let me just use the old classic cleanup method. Use my shirt. This is not going to make my top filthy, is it? This is just washing up liquid I've got over the top now. Right. So again, just going until it doesn't want to go anymore. We'll give it a little test, and that's not going anywhere. So I'll just, there you go. I'm not even hardly giving that a 16th of a turn. Okay, and then the other side as well.
Yeah.
There isn't anywhere else on this outside you could put those, because there's no more holes, look. So again, we'll put it that way, and it feels nice. It wants to go in that position. Now, who was it who ordered this or wanted to order this screwdriver set? Was it Dave Mill?
I know Chris Camplin. Chris Cramplin was interested. I gave him the link, and he has since got one in his hand.
Okay, I'd love to know how he got on with it. Okay, so gone that as far as that'll go tight, and that's on. That's not moving, so we'll just check it. Brilliant. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm just trying to work tidy. So that's both of those sections done there. So should we have a look at section 3?
Yeah.
Is everyone else happy with that? Okay, did you want to read the description as well? You are already, haven't you? Sorry.
Yeah, right. Okay, so fit the cross rod 27D between the left mounting 27E and the right mounting 27F. Fix in place with 2 FM screws.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to take Right, so we need to hold these so that they arch upwards with the little detail that we've just put on upwards. So they will go this way round. And I can see in the picture that this bit is definitely on away from me. So I'm going to hold these two tabs away from me towards the back. And we've got one tab roughly in the middle and one on the, I'm trying to figure out which is left and right, towards me. So that would be wrong. That would be correct. So, and they look like they will go, oh, there we go, on the part we've just fitted. Okay, and this is actually shaped as well. If you see in there, you've got, it's a circle with one side square. So presumably, if we put these in the wrong way round, yeah, look, they look awful. If you put them in the wrong way round. So, but the first check, obviously, is you've got one piece, one tab that's roughly in the middle, and then one's going to be closer to me. So, ever so slightly fiddly. Right, so I would just pop that screw in just enough to grab, and then make sure you've got the position correct. Possibly use the table just to prop it down, and then we'll. Whoops! No, that doesn't work. Okay, so basically, do your best. Turn slowly, so you're not wrenching it on, and then just you're gonna have to keep checking because it's trying to move around. But if you've screwed the screw in enough so that it's the lugs are actually in, all you're going to do is just pull it in further. You're not going to twist it around. Okay, and that is really, really solid. That's a lot more solid than when I did the start to put the chassis together. So this is obviously going to be slightly more awkward because we've got parts done. So I would suggest coming in from the side here. And I've just popped that in just enough to grab. Just make sure it's going in okay. And then I can finish it off. So again, it's going the same way that all of the issues have gone, which is if you just take it one stage at a time and one instruction at a time. Ooh. Right. Okay, that's a bit wobbly. I think it will fix itself.
Yeah, I think once it's like secured,
these are fixed. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've only got one point of contact at the moment. Saying that's a lot firmer, but then maybe you will need that to move a bit because if you've not quite lined it up, it's not going to fit onto the chassis. So by being able to move it a little bit, it'll give it some give as we screw it on. Okay, so talking of the chassis, here is the next section. Sorry, is everyone happy with that? So while you describe that.
Okay, so let's move on. Step 4. Take the rear subframe, completed in issue 17.
Also, I'm just breaking my arm where I'm just picking the chassis up.
And then we're going to fit the front subframe to the underside of the struts in part 17A and fix in place with the 6 FM screws.
Right. So.
Brilliant. So now we're actually going to have a very good look at actually how long this is going to be.
Yeah, it's really getting there. I can see that my 78,000 foot wide table isn't going to be wide enough.
Okay, and the tip for this step is to insert the FM screws one at a time and only half tighten each one.
Right.
Bit like what you do anyway.
Yeah.
And then when they're all fitted, they can be fully tightened.
Okay. So it looks to me like the magazine, the chassis needs to be fitted so that all of the flat sides are up. Obviously, all the detail that we've started to put on the last few weeks is underneath. So we need all of that. So it's actually going to go the right way up. So check your suspension. So if it goes down, you know that you've got this the correct way up. And this is right. You've got 6 screw holes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the chassis, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what's going to happen is that this is, what's the word I'm looking for? Bring together, meet,
Marry.
marry. That's it. We're going to marry this from the bottom, but we're going to screw from the top. And there is a slight issue. I can see now why we're going to do 1 screw at a time, because this isn't quite level. So let's have a double check. Okay, there is a give there. Ah, right. Be careful there. So when you guys come to build this, I'm going to suggest you just put these screws in loose. I'll explain why in a moment. But by having these loose, they're going to move around a bit. So we'll put this on slightly loose. You see, just a little bit. Not enough for it to come out. And that you see that's giving me more movement. But once we've got this on, we'll still be able to access those screws. So that's something I've just discovered. I may actually have stripped that thread, but so yeah, fix these loose, almost there. And then what we'll do is we'll pop these on 1 screw at a time, just like we always do. So I'll just pop washing up liquid, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think what I'll do is I will do these 2 first, then those 2, then I'll go back to the middle, and then I'll tighten them up fully. Okay, so that's on just enough to grab. So that's holding, you can see that's holding that on. Okay, and second one. Right, that's grabbing fine. Third one. Fine. Happy with that. Hello, Barnet Fly. How are you? Did I say hello earlier? Apologies if I didn't. I'm very rude of me. Okay, that one's on enough to grab. And then we'll do the final 2 just to grab, and then we'll tighten them all up. As you can see, it's probably worth taking your time on these. Okay, so I'm just going to support it underneath. Probably won't make any difference if you don't. But that one's in tight. The philosophy I have here is that they've put 6 screws in there, so it's probably going to need to be supported by 6 screws. So until I've got all of those screws in, I'm going to try and avoid putting weight on it. And even when I have done them all up, avoid putting too much weight on. Because obviously, the further from the outside you push, the more pressure it's going to put on them. or something like that. My physics isn't awesome, but okay, so they're on. Yeah, they're on really tight. So now I'll go into the side. This is obviously the bit you don't get in the magazine. And I'm now going to tighten these, but I'm now going to do them one turn at a time. Careful where you're pressing, because I did accidentally just put my finger there. So remember, we've already snapped that once. So, you know what? That doesn't want to tighten. Yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So this is now what the end looks like. So it looks a little bit like a trailer at the moment. Okay, guys.
Brilliant.
So I make that section 4 ready.
Yes.
Now, because I can see what's coming next, I'm just going to pop this on the floor because we're just going to go away from the chassis. Are you ready for this, guys?
I can't actually believe what I'm seeing. Just so everyone knows.
Yeah. Right. So, would you like to read the description?
Yes.
And I'm going to smoke. I'm going to smoke some very calming, relaxing drugs, I think.
Yeah. So we need to take off the front axle and steering mechanism. Completed in issue 11. Identify the shock absorber fixtures 6C fitted in issue 6. And remove the 8 EM screws holding the fixtures in place, and remove the shock absorber fixtures.
So what you're basically saying there is the part of the shock absorbers that gave us an awful lot of problems, we now have to do in reverse.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got my clamp ready, and I'm not sure if it's going to do any good. Hello, Love Minis, by the way.
Hello, Love Minis. How are you?
Now, the reason I think it may not necessarily do any good is when I built this, I clamped it from there, but now there's a wheel in the way. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, because it's my guess that once we get to the once we take that 4 screw off, it's going to ping, isn't it? So I really am not looking forward to this.
I'm just still in shock.
Yeah, you've only just put yours on, haven't you?
Yes.
So the question I've got. Oh, thank you, Tony. Tony DeRisi. Tony says that he's watched all my videos, and it's the first time he's watched live. Right, so look, we're going to have to give this a go. But I think I don't know if that's clamped on enough. I'm trying to just catch. I'm just frightened that once this. Oh, there we go. There we go. Right, there we go. That's going to hold it. So, scared. Oh, at least they come off easy. Well, look on the bright side. I didn't put these screws in washing up liquid, did I?
No.
So it's like I'm fixing that by doing washing up liquid on them next time. For those of you who haven't watched sort of the last few issues, we were suggested by, well, we call them the two Daves, Dave Mill and Dave Say. If you've got any screws that are going into metal, just pop a little bit of washing up liquid that's trying to come up. I'm going to put my finger on it. Oh, I'm scared. Right, so let's release that gently. You know, actually, that's not so bad. So, in case I forget, I'm holding these rods towards me, so this is going to go onto this side, so that I don't muddle them up. I don't think it's going to make any difference if I muddle them up. So okay, that worked. So why, right? Have we got any theories as to why we've got to take this off? Why they let us put it on in the first? In fact, I'm going to take that screw out as well.
I mean, all that struggle to get it together. I think we could have done the rest of the build round that without that in place. I don't think having them in benefited the rest of the build.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I only came up with 3 theories. The first one is that whoever designed this is a fan of 50 Shades of Grey. The second theory is that they don't really like us. They're just pretending to. And the third theory is that, for me, this spring has been compressed now for, what does it say? It came issue 11, so we're up to 27. So 16 weeks that's been compressed. So maybe by doing that, it's kind of relaxed the spring a little bit.
And 4, perhaps there was a genuine error, and
yeah, that's possible.
Perhaps the magazine they made a mistake.
Covered up. Yeah, or Love Minis has said bad engineering.
Because especially being such a tight fit,
yeah,
you don't want to be putting those screws in and out too often.
Although, to be honest with you, look, to hold them down to put them back on doesn't seem as much effort as I remember. So maybe they have relaxed a little bit. Still not going to be easy. So, right, they are removed, and now it looks awful. I've got used to having those bits there. Now, I think it looks terrible. It's a sick Routemasters. Okay, so that's section 5. Hello, Izzy Harris. How are you? So, section 6.
Yep.
Right, now this looks slightly complicated to me. So, I will see. So, I'm going to get the... Right, I'll just get my chassis, which means I'm going to have to move my wheels. Just out of interest, Izzy, what time is it in South Africa? I've got a feeling that South Africa has a very similar time zone to the UK, because it's not that they're far to the left or right. They're actually similar, but they're a lot lower down on the globe. Okay, so I do apologise. I'm running out of room on my desk. I've got other projects on as well, so I'm a little bit struggling for space. I'll do this as best I can. So it looks like...
This doesn't look too bad, actually. I think the picture makes it look more complicated than it is.
Right, which is often the case.
So, turn the subframe over.
Ah, that's why it didn't just make sense. So, we're going to turn this upside down.
Yeah.
Ah, now it makes sense. Now
it
makes sense. Yep.
And then the suspension arm 5A sits on top of the beams, 27A and B.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, pass the steering bar 11E under the cross rod and insert the end on the steering drive.
Okay, so on one of the steering rods, we've got a hole. And what we've just done is we've put that steering rod. Now, we did discuss before that what we need to make the steering work, we obviously need to fix these points down. And then because obviously it doesn't steer very well at the moment because these points need to be fixed. But once they're fixed, you can see that they'll move together. And that's obviously what that point there is for. So to exaggerate it slightly, I'm coming in. Yeah, right. I'm coming in from the top and then underneath. Now that still doesn't feel right. Okay, I see. No, I don't see. There we go. Right. So as we slide it in, this rod needs to go over that. And that's quite a nice fit. Right. And then on the steering, on the actual front wheels, right, you can see that there's... Actually, I'll remove it. Right. So what... This bit is effectively a rail. You see with the two screw holes?
Mm-hmm.
And what it looks like we're going to do is we're going to slide that... Right, there's my two rails. That sits on there. No, it doesn't anymore. Right, have I done this the wrong way? Okay, guys, this is confusing me now.
Yeah, that's it. Keep going. Push that all the way down, and then it's, yeah, on there.
Ah, right, okay. So these two holes there are going to line up with these two holes there. Now, looking at it, it looks like they're different spaces, but so you want to slide that up to those holes, but you need to start sliding that over before that reaches, because you can't pull it back enough.
And if I remember rightly, be careful, because that part you're putting that on is plastic.
It's plastic.
So if you bend that slightly too far...
Then once we start to get close, that's going to slip onto there. Can you see that there's on the end? This actually comes from the parts that come this week, but there's a little lug there, and then you've got the two holes on the steering. That's going to slip onto there, and then as this side comes in, the other side's going to pop on as well. And it feels like it's upside down, but it isn't. Right, so they go on to there, and then those, and now theoretically, if I hold those with my fingers, there we go, guys. Now we have steering. Can you see that I said that once these are fixed, we got steering, so I can control the other wheel from the other wheel. So, and I need, if I let this go, it's going to push the wheels up. So I need something underneath there. So I'm having a quick look.
I know, I can see why we have to remove that again.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, but it also makes more sense if we built this last week and then put it on this week. That would then make more sense. Don't know if that's going to be... Oh, there we go. So before you start this bit, find cardboard. I've found some old packing foam from something I was doing earlier on. So try and keep this airborne. And that is, yeah, so the most important bit is that the steering arm is going there. But you need to... Oh, in fact, actually it's still not on where I've moved the steering wheel. It's... Do you know what? Those rods still aren't. Right. I'm just going to try something. Just sing to yourself or something while I do this. I don't know if I have an ill-fitting part or if I've tightened screws up too much. Well, that one's certainly tightened up hard because I can't get it under. So... Okay, I can see now why it's... I've actually unscrewed the wrong bit. Sorry, guys. Just intermission. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yes, love minis. I did. I received a parcel today. And there was a bit of a jelly explosion.
Yeah, would you like to tell that story?
Yes. Well, I forgot that Penny warned me about them, but they're like little jellies. like individually packed. I've never seen them before ever, so I was really
That's
interested.
Jello, as in like jelly and ice cream, what you'd have at a children's party, as opposed to
Sweets.
gummy bears.
Yeah. So I completely forgot what Penny advised, and I opened the lid, and it just shot jelly all over my face, down my chest, all over my top, and yeah, it was just quite a funny story. So after I did that, there's a Lorraine, bless her, I worked with her at work. She sat there all quietly, and I said, "Oh, do you want a jelly?" Knowing full well what was going to happen. And yeah, she did exactly the same thing. It was really funny. It was very funny.
Right. What I've just been doing, this rod there, remember that we put it together and then I loosened it to put it onto the chassis. I've loosened it again because what it's done is it's pulled these two bars slightly in, which means it doesn't line up with the screw holes. I just wish I had more space. Move that. I think that might just work. It may be a crash. Okay, so what it's done by tightening these two up, it's pulled these two together. It won't pull these together because these are fastened by 6 screws. But this end has been pulled in a bit. So I've just loosened off those screws, which just pulled them out. And I can see now that they are going to line up. Okay, so do you want to describe?
Yep, so we're now on step 7. So once that's fitted and the suspension arm is in the correct position, fix it to the beams, 27A and 27B with 4 FM screws.
Right.
The inserts show the same fixing in close up from another angle, with the FM screws circled in red.
Okay.
So
we are fixing the bottom of the suspension, which is there, not the parts we've just removed. But so we're going to go in that way. Oh God. Do you know what? I think I'm not going to get in with this screwdriver. I think the only screwdriver that's going to work is going to be one of the partwork screwdrivers.
Right.
So, which I haven't got ready. Because I didn't think we'd need it. How badly prepared is that?
Well, I mean, that screwdriver is so good for all applications. I mean, didn't think about it. But at least the people watching that haven't built it yet.
Yeah, this is the idea. I make the mistake so that you guys don't have to. I hope I found the right screwdriver. So we're fixing that with an FM screw. Yeah, that'll be fine. So, you know what I didn't do, don't you? I didn't do the washing up liquid. Do you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm just sliding that down a little bit. There we go. Making sure that this arm there stays in place. I mean, the washing up liquid is optional, isn't it? But life is certainly a lot easier with the washing up liquid.
Yeah.
We have drawn that conclusion many weeks ago. So I'll just pop that end back on. Be gentle. These are metal parts, but that's not to say that you can't ring them. So move the wheel outwards, move them up the line. Now I suspect I'm going to have a problem with this one there because it looks like a little bit of paint covering. So I'll give it a try. I'm going to deliberately try the hardest one first because the others should go in quite sweet. Okay, that's not going to go in. Right. So I'm going to need a needle file, which I have one, or a knife or something. Sorry, I had one. I think I'm going to have to just take it all off. So this is what happens when Penny has problems. So what I've got, right, can't really see in there, but like that hole there, in fact both of the holes, right, so this hole, can't really see, but that's pretty much perfectly large and round. These two have got flash or something, so I'm just gonna, there we go. I wouldn't advise using the screwdriver actually, but it's, oh, do you know what, yeah, I never thought of that one, Dave. Put the washing up liquid on the screw, not in the screw hole. There we go. So just make sure these holes are lined up. There you go. Get your little screwdriver from part one. That will go in there lovely. By the way, did you get your screwdriver as well, Horlicks?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Well, I've bought about four issues of issue one because I'm doing some practicing on it for various things. So obviously I don't need 5 screwdrivers when I've got all these other screwdrivers. So to sort of go back to the previous part and just emphasize that again, we're sliding that one on, and then we'll slip that tab there and that tab there, and then we'll just rest that onto there. And to be honest with you, the easiest way to slide it up is to just keep moving the wheels, because it'll kind of move to where it wants to move to. Once the screws are in, it will force the wheels to move. So let's give this a try. Hopefully that's done the job. And it is quite fiddly because you've got to come in through the suspension. It's the only way you're going to get at it at the correct angle. And then you've got the screw is falling off the screwdriver, and this is, I might have to mute my microphone because I might be swearing a lot. There we go, that's gone in. That's fine, I'm happy with that. So that's gone in. No, that's missed. Right. It is a little bit more difficult when you're doing it on camera because you can't always get the angle you want to get. Now that's missed again. That's gone somewhere. Maybe. Do you know what? I've just thought of an even easier way. I can't believe I didn't think of this. Right. So actually put the screws in before you pop it in. And then what we'll do is we will, see, I've just put the screw in just so it's gone slightly down. You can just see the bottom bit. I don't know why I didn't think of that. And I'll do that on all 4. That way I can maneuver the steering round to how I want it a lot easier. Oh, that's gone straight through. Okay, I'm going to take that one out. So I'm going to risk loop. Now that'll be fun. And then what will happen is as we move this steering around, it will naturally try to fall in. Oh, is that not going in? That doesn't, there we go. So as we slide this up and down here, it will try to naturally fall into those holes. And that will tell us then by feel when we've got it in the correct position. And then we can tighten a little bit further, and then hopefully we'll have our grab point. Oh. So the trouble with YouTube is that it's now 9 o'clock in the UK, which is what we call the watershed. So all your films and programs that has sex and violence in it, you can now show. But the problem with YouTube is it's accessible at any time. So if I did swear, it means that little children can watch it at 4 in the morning. Right, there we go. So I've just popped those screws in just so they've just, where are they? There we go. It's just poked its head down below. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Now we'll slide this on for the umpteenth time. Again, being careful because we're dealing with the plastic part. I'm getting good at this now, aren't I? We line this lug up and this lug. Let's move the wheels around if it doesn't want to go. I think the first couple of times you move the steering, it's going to be a little bit tricky. There we go. That's lined up. Right. And the reason it didn't want to go in was because these have come out a little bit. But this screw hole there has lined up. So give that a couple of turns. No, that hasn't grabbed. Okay. Not easy, guys. Second one. Are you guys having as much as fun as I am?
We're all just eagerly
You're all
watching.
waiting for me to swear, aren't you? Okay, right, that's on. So this is going to require a little bit of pulling because it's not exactly parallel. So it's just going to have to be pulled out. Only about a mil, nothing too major. And I don't really know which screw would be best to pop it out. Ah, there we go. Right. So I need, my hands aren't big enough. Oh, right. Okay, that's going. That is going. I'm also giving a quick visual check there, there, and there, because I don't want this to pop off as I'm screwing them in. Because if it pops off, I'm guessing it will most likely need to be undone. Because, well, that, yeah, this one feels quite loose. I suspect it's going to be screwed down. So this will have the last. There we go. This is as tight as I can go with this screwdriver. Unfortunately, this new screwdriver, it's really spoilt me. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel adequate anymore because I found something better. This isn't a bad screwdriver. It's just that when you found something better, it's a little bit difficult to go back. Right, so I am happy that that stage is complete. Does that look okay to you?
Yeah, it looks brilliant. So was there wasn't, it didn't look like there was that many turns on those screws.
Oh, there wasn't that many. Sorry, I just remembered I've forgotten a bit. These screws that I've loosened, because these are in and those are in, they can now be retightened. So a couple of screws on this side and a couple of screws on this side. Later on, post-production, I'm actually going to have a look at those because the best advice I can give you is do not tighten them fully. I'm going to have a quick look. Fix in place for 2 FM screws. The inst above shows the cross rod in place. Yeah, so stage 3, do them until they go tight, and then whack them back about 1 revolution. That way they're not going to be pulling these rods together. I've had problems, first of all, attaching it to the chassis, and then I had problems with the front wheel, because where it pulled them in, these are actually in closer than the screw holes. So once I've loosened them off, it made life so much easier for me.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we're on step 8.
Oh God.
So you need to replace the shock absorber fixtures, 6C in the springs, 6D.
Ah. Okay. Now this is oh, I see. Okay. Right. So we haven't fastened these yet.
That's step 9.
Right. Okay. No, that's fine. I just, because you see that the wheel's obviously free moving. Oh, sorry. I'm saying you can see and you can't see. This wheel is obviously free moving because the suspension spring isn't in. But you can see it's trying to pull that out of there. So I just want to double check, but we are doing it in the correct order.
Yep.
Right. So the rods I put behind, and then we've got the left. So this is the left screw, and I don't know if these will work the wrong way round, but obviously I put through all that trouble. Oh, there we go. That's actually quite easy to go in. I think it has definitely relaxed the screw. The spring, sorry.
Yeah, put the 4EM screws back in on each side. And it says it may be helpful to check the original fitting instructions in issue 6.
Right. So if anyone has not got their issue 6 anymore, and they want to just check the instructions, send me a picture of your suspension, and then I will send you a scanned copy of the instructions. By sending copyright laws obviously protect the company if I distribute material, but there's nothing in copyright laws against for personal copies. So if you prove to me you own the issue, then that shouldn't contravene that shouldn't break copyright rules. To be honest with you, that's gone in rather easy. So I'm suggesting that the screws, the spring has been relaxed a little bit. So, oh, sorry. Do you know, I am so sorry, guys. I forgot to change the screen. I do apologise. But you'll get to see the other one anyway.
Oh god, no, I didn't even notice that because I don't see that screen.
No. Obviously, I'm focusing on the magazine. I just want a bit of kitchen roll because I put too much washing up liquid on that. There we go. So what I've done is I've put, this is now the 4th screw. I will do it again on the other side, but I've put them in just so that they grab. Okay, and once they're in, I've just had a ding. Right, so once they're in, we can now tighten them up fully. So I don't know what advice to give people. If there's anyone who hasn't built issue 6 yet, I don't know whether to advise you to not build these or not. Simply because this seems easier the second time around. So perhaps it's been relaxed a bit. But then if you do build them, do you know what? Their screw isn't going in. It's not tightening up. Ah, there it is, sorry. That's my bad. Well, I can tell you this screwdriver works very well left-handed. I know there's no such left-handed screwdriver, but Obviously, I'm right-handed, so I don't have that much control with my left hand. And it seems to be managing quite fine. And we've still got loads of screws left. So I'm just turning this around more for the camera's benefit, so that I can show you this again. And this is... Right, that's about as far back as I can go. So, pop the spring in, pop this part in. Obviously, pop it in the correct way. And we need to make sure that goes all the way through. At the bottom there, there's a hole. And we need to make sure that this bottom bit goes through the hole. Now, doesn't want to find the hole. I do remember having a problem with one of them when I built mine. Right, then we pull up the wheel like so, and that will pretty much almost line up with that. There's about a millimeter gap. So, first screw, excuse me. If you use this, yeah, that's what I wondered. So, based on what Dave has said and what I'm experiencing, oh, I would say build issue 6. And I mean, it's now been resting for 20 weeks. So yeah, build it. So lift that up. I'm going to apply one screw until it bites. So that's holding that. And then repeat the process. You know, I'm going to practice doing things with my left hand. Because these part works, they require sometimes 3 hands.
Yeah.
Side, I'm going to squeeze a little bit out onto the kitchen roll. I know I'm going to use it. Did anyone know what time we actually started building this? We did a little bit of chatter right at the beginning.
Yeah, I think it was about 8:40.
Oh, was it really? We were chatting for that long, were we?
Oh no, we weren't chatting for that long, were we? I mean, about 8:10.
Really? So we've been doing this for about an hour so far.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job I haven't got to be up in the morning, isn't it? So these screws, you do have to screw them a lot. Many turns. Did you remember that with issue 6? Do you recall?
Yeah, I do actually, thinking about it.
But they have got a lot to hold, and the more
Yeah.
the more screw threads that are going in, screw count, the higher the screw count, the harder it's going to hold. And by having 4, that's probably the equivalent of about 10 screws with a much lower thread count. Okay, I've just had a message come up, and I don't get all of the message, it's just a notification, but I've been invited to check out this unique. So I'll have a look at that later on. Okay, so I am confident. Oh, no, that's gone in a bit more. This is why it's a good idea to double check your screws. There we go. Right, so that's on. So that suspension is now back to where we were. Oh, no. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually raised the steering bits. That's why they look like they've come off. So, I mean, could it be that the parts have warped while they've been sat on the shelf? Or do you think they were shaped that way and they're just going to need some persuasion?
No, I think it's just how it is. I think it'll be fine.
Right. Okay. So, should we have a look at the next stage?
Yes. So 9, with the suspension arm fixed in place, the
Hang on,
steering.
slow yourself down. Sorry, I ain't caught up. Right. Okay, section 9. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, with the suspension arm fixed in place, the steering mechanism could be anchored. Position screw eyelet in command arm 11C over the right mounting 27F and fix in place with an FM screw. Repeat to fix the push rod link 11B to the left mounting 27E. The inset shows a different view.
Right.
So basically, FM screws in those two.
Yeah, so basically we're going to put an FM screw in there and then in there. And still not finished with the FM screws. That'll still leave us with 3. So obviously there's 2 more FM screws needed. Okay, so I'll do this one because that lines up easier. And I'm just, as per normal. Oh, that doesn't want to go in straight. It might be the angle I've put it in. And I might get away with it if it's not straight. But obviously try your best to get it in a straight. There we go, that's gone in straight. So that's in enough to grab. And that's going to need quite a lot of. In fact, I'm still going to prop this up. Doesn't like having the wheels touching the ground at the moment. And my chassis's just gone loose in the middle. So I don't know if that's a screw loosened or if I've just pushed it too hard. So again, be careful. It's easy to look at this and go, oh, it's all metal, so it's really tough. But don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's all going to build its strength up from things like the body panels. I've got it on the foam block because it doesn't seem to. If you see like where I'm touching that wheel, it's moving that. So I'm going to keep I just want to keep the front wheel off the ground. I need a big screw bit. I think I switched my screw bits out and then didn't switch them back. So it's probably going to be less of a struggle now. Oh, there we go. Look at that. The correct screw bit does help. Yeah, that is going in a long, long way. Okay. I know it doesn't say this in the magazine, but just check there's still movement, which there is. Okay, and then I'll just finish tightening up the other side. So you might lose the view here. And I'm actually got my hand underneath and I'm pulling it up. So I'm not pushing down on the model as much as I'm pulling it up. There we go. Right. So that might need loosening off a little bit. It's got some stiffness to it, and I don't know if those wheels are lined up. Yeah. I'm getting to the stage. Oops! I'm getting to the stage of the build now where. Oops! That's. Yeah, I'm starting to have to pull the camera a lot further back to get more of it in. Do those wheels look level to you?
No.
They look a bit off to me. Huh. I mean, I'm not overly worried because I'm not going to be driving it, but obviously you want it to look as nice as you can. Okay, so you satisfied that that's that section done?
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Okay, so section 10.
Okay, so I just need to zoom out a little bit. There we go. So take the connector and line assembly from issue 22.
Okay. Just
Okay.
turning the chassis over as you talk.
Yeah, to identify the fixing points on the subframe. And the bracket 22K is fitted to the screw hole on part 27B circled in red. The end of the line 22N is connected to part 23A circled in blue.
Okay. Ah, I'm looking at the wrong side. That's why. Okay, so we have got where the steering. I see it's got the picture of the whole chassis, and I'm seeing this bit here, so that's where I'm looking. But it's actually going there by the looks of it. So 27B, the bracket 22K is fitted to the screw hole. That's 22K. Fit to the screw hole in 27B. Doesn't tell us what screw to use.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay. It's actually going to go that way. And I'll tell you why. Because the reason it's identifying this bit is because it's going to connect there. If you can see it, no, you can't see it. Right, it's actually going to connect there. Now we had this pointing that way. It looks like it actually wants to point this way. So that will connect there. Right, so just behind the steering bit, see we've got two holes. That's where this is going to go. And it's going to be connected with
It's a little bit confusing, this actually, because if you go forwards to step 11, it's almost like they've reversed it.
Ah, yes, right.
Because it says
Okay.
fit with the CM and then pass the
Right.
line over the cross piece.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, I've actually figured it. Part 10 isn't screwing it in. Part 10 is finding where things go. So it's a dry fit in essence. So that is part 10. The reason they haven't told us there's a screw is because we're not using a screw yet. Okay. So it's like the bracket 22K is fitted to the screw hole on part 27B, circled in red. The end of the line is connected to part 23A, circled in blue. So that will go on. With a struggle. Oh. This is tricky, but I'm liking it. Wow. Oh dear. Right.
I don't actually think that needs to be attached yet, Penny. Because if we go to step
Okay.
11, it's telling you to direct that pipe through various holes.
Okay. Right. Okay. Let's you do the bits with part 11.
Yeah, okay, so fit the bracket 22K to the beam 27B and fix it in place using a CM screw. We'll do that part first and then...
Okay. So, I've just I've got confused because I've got so many screws left over. But they've started doing that, haven't they? Right. So we want a CM screw.
Yeah.
There's two in the There's two in the bag. We always get one spare. So that's enough. So I'm actually not going to tip these out because we're only needing the one. So I'll get that one out, and then I can seal the bag up, which obviously makes it easier for putting them away later in my little pot. Right, so CM screw ready on the screwdriver, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, guys. Right, I've put this line in, and I'm going to screw it just enough so it attaches, it grabs, which is not there. Also, I'm struggling to get this in.
Oh, looks terribly, terribly fiddly.
It's the angle we've got. Actually, I think that's going to be easy. I'm going to put the screw through the pot, and then I'm going to just screw it in just enough to grab. Then I'm going to get the locating peg lined up, and then I'm going to finish tightening the screw. So that has now grabbed, and that's gone straight in actually. Once it's lined up, it goes in. So that's the part I just put in, and the screw is there. Can't you see that little black bit there where the tip of the screwdriver is? And that's the bit where it's I was saying, do you know what? I'm so sorry. Look, come in from underneath, and you got yourself loads of room. Look at that. Come in from the right place, you got loads of room. Amazing, that, isn't it? Right. So that is on.
Okay, so then past the line 22N over the cross piece on the subframe and through the opening circled in red in the subframe 16A and 17A.
Oh, I see. Right, yes, gotcha. Right, so on the subframe, sorry, on the chassis, you see that? There we go. We've got a little, now, the line runs, can you see where my finger is? That's where the line is naturally sitting. There's a little line, little hole there. That's where it wants to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab that line, just move it out, and I'm just going to push it through that hole, and then I'll pull it through, and then what we've got there, you can see the end poking up. It's gone through that little gap, and that wants to go. To be honest with you, I think it's easy if you work with the chassis the wrong way round. And that is going to be too long. So I want a call, guys. Is that cable too long? Because I shortened my brake cables in the earlier issue, and I'm happy with the length that they are. That one's just fallen off, actually. I like the cables fairly straight. If you were me, would you just cut those to length? I understand why they've cut them too long, because it's better to have them, if they're being, obviously these are made in some factory where they're making like a zillion of them a second.
What I would tend to do is leave it and then possibly adjust things later on.
Right.
Just in case. Because you never know, it might ask us to take that back off later on and wrap that around another part.
Okay, that's a good call, that is then. Right, So that is that's on. I'm not happy with that, but obviously, like you just said, that was a pretty good call. Um, so yeah, and I think that's the issue finished now, then, isn't it?
And yeah, that I believe is everything.
So look, we've got all four wheels on the ground with serious buckle. Right, there we go.
That left-hand wheel looks a bit wobbly.
Yeah, it's a bit on the huh. Yeah, they're not level. That's a bit better, isn't it? I think what I'll do is I'll have them turned on the finished model, and then it won't show so much then, will it?
Also, I mean, it's probably, I don't know how difficult it is to take the hubcaps off again. I'm wondering if that new screwdriver would aid the wheels going in a bit better.
That's a really good point. I like that, but I will do that later if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's got to take the. We don't want to scratch the.
Yeah, but
Just an idea. You might get an extra turn on them.
Yeah, right. I'm going to turn it upside down so you can see it in most of its glory. That is looking fantastic. I don't care what it's cost. That looks amazing. There we go. I could just fit it all on the screen. Hey, Chris. How are you? Your name did get a mention earlier on. We were talking about the screwdrivers. Yeah, what do you think, guys? We now have the wheels on. I'm very happy about that.
And what does the suspension feel like? I mean, I know we don't really want to put too much pressure on that at this stage, but does it?
Wow. Might as well give it a go. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We could ruin 1,150 quid's worth of build. Well, that's nice. That's nice.
Do they feel even?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, as long as you're pushing it evenly, it is distributing evenly. Obviously, if you're going to push on one side, then it's not. But yeah, and it's going straight down rather than pushing the wheels out. That's nice. I like that. But my wheels do seem a bit buckled, which I didn't notice was as bad an issue as that. So I will have a look at that, and I think that's maybe why they look funny. But I'm happy. I'm really liking that. Still a couple of little bits I've got to keep an eye on. This bit that broke, I must have caught it again. So I'm not going to glue that on again until... Actually, as it's under, I'm probably just going to put a touch of glue on that at the end. So, yeah, no, now this bit looks bent. Ah, there we go. So actually, these parts here, I haven't tightened them up as far as they go, which has actually worked out quite well. Where they're plastic, I resist the temptation to screw them really tight.
Yeah, that was the one where because they can snap, can't they? Because when you turn the screw, it wants to.
Yeah, if you screw there, it wants to pull it out there, and vice versa. So I'm happy I didn't screw those as tight as they would go. The brake cable, brake line come out. So yeah, no, I'm really happy with that. So yeah, what do you think, guys? Yeah, yeah, Love Mini says it might be different when a full load is on the bus. This is only the chassis. We've got bodywork and all sorts, and we know that bodywork is going to be made of metal.
Let's have a little play.
A little play. Right, what are we playing with?
Put the bonnet on with the arch over the wheel. I know. Well, I know it won't actually.
You ask me that every week, don't you? You just want to see the bonnet on, don't you?
Not the the front. Yeah, that's it. Roughly where that's good. I don't know if it's obvious where that may sit.
It's gonna go roughly there, based on I'm holding it about half a centimeter above the wheel art, the wheel. It's not going to be massive. So yeah, that's roughly there. So that looks really nice. I daren't lift it up because obviously I've got this quite loose.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do next, don't you?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, there's another quarter of a turn in there. Still loose, but not as loose. So I can't see any fixing points for this wheel arch. There's a point there, but I can't see where it's going to go on the chassis yet. I actually don't know how high up the wheel arch is. But that's yeah, Chris Campling says it's looking good, and I'm total agreement with you there. And we've got the rear platform, which is going to go behind the wheel, isn't it? Something like that. Oh, could that be a fixing point there? Or is it further? I think it's about there, isn't it? Or in fact, it might even be lower down. Because I know the rear platform is quite low, so people can get on it.
God, so it's yeah. That's really long, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've pretty much got an idea roughly of the full length. And the last bit we've got, which I still can't figure out, is the engine. It's going to go somewhere there, isn't it?
Round the other way, so the fans at the front.
I knew that, really. Ah! Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, you've got two screw holes there, so that's going to go in. I know we're being naughty here, aren't we? There we go. So the engine's going to go there. Oh, I'm getting all excited now. Really, really excited. Obviously, the cork doesn't come as part of the engine. The cork's there just to stop that from getting hit. So.
Oh yeah, careful, because didn't that snap as well?
No, it near. Oh, yes, it did snap. It snapped off there, didn't it? Yes, it snapped there, but the locating lug is still inside, and it's actually snapped there. So that's why I've got the cork there. So right, so concern and happy, and I'll tell you why. We've got one AM screw left over, which we expected, but we've got 3 FM screws left over. So I don't know why they deliberately gave us extra. But here's the bit that I'm quite excited about. I have a pack here unopened of EM screws. This is to replace the screws from the suspension. So if you ruin your screws as you're removing the springs, you've got spares. In this particular case, I've reused the springs, the screws. So that's a nice little touch. I like that. Chris thought the cork was part of the build. So that's quite interesting. So now I no longer need my cardboard box. So that brings me a little bit of joy. So that's going. Or I can send things to people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this in backwards. So I rest it on the back wheels and then roll it in. Oh no, that don't fit on the shelf. That don't fit on the shelf from front to back. my shelves are. Trying to get this in. I can't get it all in view. I can't even get it all in. Like, so my shelves are this wide, and if I can get the bus on, but if I roll it back a couple of mils, it'll roll off the back. If I roll it forwards, it'll come off the front. So I'm actually going to have to carry on till I sort the shelf out properly for it. I'm going to have to carry on using the box. So that's how big the box is. I can't put it on the shelf front to back. It's going to have to go sideways. But it's that the wheelbase is bigger than an average box. So I'm going to just, right, there we go. So that's how it's going to sit on my shelf for a few more weeks. In fact, I'm going to have a look at these screws because do you see how that rocked? So be careful here. That is quite weak there.
Have you already retightened those with that new screwdriver?
I had already retightened, yes. I think what I've done is they come out a little bit. There we go, that's solid again. That was all it was, just 4 quarter turns. So bear with me, guys. I'm just popping this on the shelf. I'm actually being a bit daft because I'm putting this on the shelf, on a shelf that's higher than eye level, which is actually making it. If you ever do a health and safety course on lifting and handling and moving, you'll see why it's totally wrong, and I shouldn't be doing that. Right, so chatty time. Right, first of all, is there any questions about the build?
I don't. Well, I haven't got any. I mean, I was questioning whether why we had to take those springs back out, but obviously that's become clear now that we need access to get the screws in.
Yeah. Sorry, we forgot to do next week's issue, which I noticed that you've popped up. So looking at next week's issue, parts are supplied for the radiator and construction begins with fitting panels around it. That's going to be the front of the bus. So that means we've got to get that front bit in soon, haven't we?
Yeah.
Although I haven't got my little list from Rumours bit from last week. So I can't. What I'll do is I'll print that off next week so we can refer to it easily. But there is a list available that tells us each, what each week is containing. Does anybody know about it?
I don't think I've seen it actually.
What would be interesting is if we. Sorry, I'm trying to. There we go. This is what happens when you try and do 2 things at once, guys. A lot of people know that I try that a lot, and every single time I fail. Right, so we've got last week there was a list published, and I went through it on this show, and it tells us what we're doing in every issue. I mean, it looked 110 totally legit to me. So, but I just, as each week goes, I just want to follow along. Is that what we're actually doing? But it looks like it is. I think we checked it last week, didn't we? So yeah, that's that bit. Yeah, so we'll know what we're doing. So I think we're not actually fitting the front bit of the radiator for quite a while, are we? So the front grille. Obviously, we're fitting the radiator, but it's great because this means that soon our buses our bus is going to look exactly like all our buses at work, all the ones that are in the workshop.
Yeah.
With parts missing so that they can get engine parts and things. So yeah, that should be fun. Right, I've got to admit, I've I made it right. I say I've made a cock up. What I've done is I've actually been addressing a lot of the questions as we've been building, which is what we don't normally do. That's my fault. Obviously, we normally have an order in the way that we do things. So that unfortunately means that we don't have anything to discuss after the build. So my bad. We've discussed your jellies, which is obviously very important.
Yeah.
And we've discussed your issues coming or not coming from uh, Hachette.
Yes.
So, is there any? I don't suppose there's anything else we haven't discussed yet, is there?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I'm just trying to think.
I'm just going to go through the chat while you go for it, Penny Square. Relaxes as a spring. Yeah, no, I remember that now. Someone said you got a printer running in the background. You've reminded me actually, I have a 3D printer which isn't running. Oh, no, it was switched off. Yeah, I've got a 3D printer, but it's not switched, not on.
It might have been mine because I just did I did a print and
Right.
printer was running, but for about 20 minutes into the stream.
Right.
I've turned it off now. Turned it off.
Barnet Flyer says, I'm glad I'm only on part 17, not looking forward to do this part. My basic assessment of, or what's the word I'm looking for? Summary is it wasn't actually that difficult. It was more fiddly. So, sorry, someone sent me a photo. I'll just see if it's relevant.
It's really good as well because seeing these parts here in my hand, I can just appreciate the actual quality. I don't think maybe the camera, even though it looks brilliant on the camera, it doesn't do them any justice.
Right. Sorry, Dave. I'm sure Dave Say won't mind me mentioning this. Dave Say just sent me the list that I can't find at the moment. We're going. It's the one that lists everything that's happening. Let me. I think what will be easier if I load it up on my other computer. There we go. And if I save that image to the desktop, I can then show that off on the stream. I can do the technology, I just can't necessarily do it quickly. So if we switch to, that's not it, screen share. Right, that's a bit of a premature share there. So excuse my background. Right, that should be it. That's not it. That is it. Right. So last week we did assembling the crankcase. This week we did fitting the front subframe and front axle. And letter for letter, that is spot on. And next week we know is assembling the radiator. So it doesn't look like we're actually going to be fitting the front grille anytime soon. But it looks like we are working on the front of the bus from now on for quite a while. Because we've got finishing the engine, fitting the exhaust pipe, which obviously exhaust is going to run from the front. And then we've got the rear wheel arches, so that's thrown that one out, isn't it? Then we're fitting fitting the rear wheel arches. So that suggests to me that we're doing both sides.
Yeah.
Which would be nice because I noticed obviously we're talking two different companies here, but I've noticed with the DeLorean build, you do something on one side and then a couple of weeks later you do exactly the same, but on the other side. So this could keep the interest going a little bit more.
we're going to be doing all four corners as well, because then issue 32 and 33 is fitting the left and right front wheel arches.
Sorry, say that again. I thought I had a problem with my computer then. So 34, 30, 33, 34.
So you got 31 fitting the rear wheel arches, then 32
Yes.
and 33 are fitting the front wheel arches.
Yes. So could there be? Oh, hang on. Yeah.
But
No,
obviously,
we've already got them.
yeah, one. Well, we've got one of the wheel arches, which is attached to the grille. So
we have the left wheel arch already. Right,
yeah.
Sorry, I've lost control of my computer now. Why can I not? Yeah, okay, right. So right, yeah. So this is the part one of the parts that we want to fit. This is the left wheel arch, and obviously you've got the radiator grille. So it looks like this is going in on issue 32 with the fog lamps. So that
actually, yeah. Dave just suggested it could be the inner arches, which may make sense. But then it does say actually the fog lamp. It does actually. Is it issue 32? Says and the fog lamp.
Well, the fog lamp is going to go there, judging by the picture on the cover.
And the wheel arches are black. And when there is no black on the part that we've got.
Yes.
Yeah, Dave must be right. Dave's right. It's going to be the inner arches first.
So the question is, are we going to fit the wheel arches to this, and then this goes on to the chassis, or are we fitting the wheel arches to the chassis and then this goes on top? And will that all get done in the same issue? Because it sounds to me like we're doing a collector part, and then I notice there's a few builds where you collect parts. If you're lucky, you do some work, like my Millennium Falcon. You're doing some main work in one area, but you're also collecting parts in another area. And then all of a sudden you do an issue and you don't get many parts, but you don't notice it, because what you're doing is you're bringing together all the parts collected from another issue. So it's a good way of chucking in. Right, so the inner is going to be attached to the chassis, and then this on top, which will probably explain why there's no fixing point for this on the chassis. This is going to attach to the inner wheel arch. That makes sense. Oh, I do like these speculations.
Well, yeah, that's the problem though. We speculate, don't we? And then we get carried away, and then.
But it's all fun, isn't it?
It is good fun.
Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. And obviously anyone's welcome to jump in and say, no, Penny Horgan, you are totally wrong. Which actually Dave Mill has pretty much said in a very nice way. So next week is the radiator, and then it's going to be finishing the engine. Will everyone be happy about finishing the engine? I've quite enjoyed it. And Orlick, you've got your fan going.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's so hot. It's so hot in here. I couldn't not have it on.
No, that was fine. But it just seemed to be blowing straight down the microphone. Yeah, so I mean, it'll be nice when the engine's finished, but at the same time, I've enjoyed building it.
Yeah.
So, and it's looking a nice. Well, it is a simple engine, isn't it? I know the Routemasters was designed to just be bits bolt on and bolt off, because obviously you want to keep the bus in service as much as you can. So if you're going to need to spend 10 hours on an engine, all you're going to do is just bolt it out, chuck a new one in. So this has probably had about 150 engine swaps, but it's just that engine has probably been in 150 engine swaps over, say, 3 engines. Does that make sense, Dave? Say, I know you'll be able to answer that. A little, very similar to how we fix punctures. So if a bus has got a puncture, all we do is we remove the entire wheel. We just slap another wheel on, and bang, the bus is out. It's back in service, because lost mileage is lost money.
I'm just I'm quite sad in it as well. Like, obviously because of my mishap with the issues. You know, I'm not one to start building, you know, out of order. So I may have about. I'm expecting a couple of month delay at least.
The thing is, you've got nothing now for another 4 weeks. You've done nothing this week.
No. So I've got nothing till next month, and if they still have no stock next month, I suspect they're going to probably either send me 27, 28, 29, and 30, or
Oh no.
they could send me. So obviously, I'm waiting for 7, 8, 9, and 10. If, say, 18 or whatever issue was out of stock isn't in, I may end up with 11, 12, 13, 14. And then
Yeah.
I'm still going to have to wait another month.
No.
So what would be.
But even if it goes as planned, you've got nothing this month, and then you'll only have 4 issues next month, and then obviously eventually you'll catch up, and then you'll have 8 issues in 4 weeks. But it still must be a bit frustrating, because obviously I do this. I mean, my 4 subscription issues have come this week.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm a bit mixed emotions, really, because I haven't really dealt with Hachette. This is the first time I've dealt with them. Eagle Moss, on the other hand, you know, they are good, but with my Vector 3 3D printer, I am still waiting to this day for a spare part for my printer. And that has been finished over a year now. And I'm still waiting for a part. And they are aware, and they're still trying to get stock in. But I'm waiting. I've been waiting a year. So
I've found with Hachette, initially they've had problems, but then they seem to be really on the ball at the moment. And I
yeah,
put that down to the fact that when I speak to Hachette, I don't think the customer service, I don't think they work for Hachette. And I've worked for companies before where we're doing inbound calls on behalf of a company, but we're not working for that company. We are a company that do inbound calls, and so when people ring up, we go, "Oh, hello, Marks and Spencers," and the next call we might say, "Hello, Asda,"
yeah,
and that's how they work. So they don't understand the company at first, but then as the weeks go on, they understand, and they know how things are. Because obviously, when they're new, they only know how things are supposed to work. Then after a few weeks, they understand how things actually work.
yeah,
And I think that's why they've got better, because they were only going by what should happen. So, and they've become more honest. I wonder also if they store numbers and have notes, because they've become brutally honest with me. Because I always say to them, I don't care if you give me bad news, just give me the truth, because I'm fed up with you giving me some information that doesn't happen, and then I end up ringing up next week to say what was supposed to happen hasn't happened. Someone's lying to me. So now they are brutally honest to me, because they were over one of the other part works, the Terminator, and they said to me, "We honestly don't know when it's going to start." And I'm like, "Fine, that's." And they said, "Why?" Because they were waiting for enough people to sign up. So that never happened. So, but at least they were honest with me, and I can handle bad news if they're honest.
yeah.
So let me show you one more thing before we close the show. Um, I have been doing, I haven't got as far as I wanted to get, and I'm not going to get as far as I want next week, because I've got quite a lot of shifts, additional shifts next week. But last weekend, I popped down to health. Finally got round to going to Halford. Sorry, my alarm's just going off. Tell me to
Oh,
take
hello,
the bins
Stuart.
out.
Stuart Sullivan. Thanks for joining. Just at
No,
the end, though.
no, yeah. Right, so I've bought this. You remember the problems I had with the primer before that was scraping off the metal? The primer I'd been using was a modelling primer for which I'd used for my plastic minis, but it said that you could use it for metal, so we gave it a try. Um, it didn't work as well as I liked, so I was recommended this, and we were a little bit uneasy about it at first because it says that well, this is better for um, older metal because it kind of eats into the metal and sort of adheres that way. And the parts we're dealing with are brand new parts, but I stripped the paint off the old Routemaster bit that I did. Remember, this used to be yellow and blue, and it's now, excuse the scratch marks. This is where I've been testing. Um, and what I've been told to do with this, I haven't got around to doing it yet. You spray the primer on, and then you give it a light buff with sandpaper, wet and dry, really fine, but not enough to take it down to the bare metal. And then it's safe to spray over. Now the scratch marks, that was me scratching it. Um, this is me scratching the primer, and you see it is coming off, but that is a deliberate effort to take the primer off. And if I push really hard, and I'm pushing really hard, that is coming off. But on the whole, look how tough that is. Let's see if I can find. I've got a metal scraper here, and I'm going to run it lightly over. And yeah, you can hear that it's definitely going over. So that's definitely a lot better primer, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously, as well, once you've done a coat of that or two, or whatever you're going to do,
Yeah,
plus the paint, a couple of layers of paint or whatever, and then I
yeah.
don't know what you're going to do to get the gloss at the end. I don't know if you're going to use some like lacquer or something,
Well,
but that would
I've
really finish it off.
Stuart says, "Ah, dentist." Sorry, I do apologise. Right now, what I was advised by the lady in Halfords is that the paint. I've been offered the actual paint from the bus, the actual proper colour match. I can go into the workshop and go and get small samples of it, and then I can thin it down. I can put it through the airbrush, but I don't want to run like lacquer, horrible enamel paints through. But what I've been told by the lady in Halfords is that modern paints, they've got some new rules and regulations where they have to be water-based paints. So they're effectively acrylic paints, but they're water-based as opposed to being like chemical-based. Now,
Mhm.
if they're water-based, I'd be quite happy to run them through the airbrush. But worst case scenario, I shall run. I know this won't be the correct color, but I'll be trying the next stage to try it out with these Vallejo model colors. And then what I'll do is I'll run a couple of thin layers over the bonnet, and then I'll finish that up with oops, just dropped something on the floor, and I'll finish it up with Vallejo gloss varnish, and I know that that will come up really nice. Um, see if I can still find him. I've got there he is. Right, I've got this is an old model I painted quite a while back. But you see his helmet, that's been finished up with gloss varnish, and it's given it that really thick car paint look. So I think that will do the job. So that will be quite interesting. So that will be the next stage of my experiment to try the paint and the varnish. So
Yeah, it'd be good.
I'm gonna strip. I'm gonna see how easy this is to strip down again. But I'll paint over it. But yeah, and it's about £7 a can. I don't know how many cans we'll use for for the whole model. And I'm not even sure if it's going to be a good idea. Oh, the metals. I like them as model paints. I haven't tried them on the actual model yet. I bought 3 of these and I can't find one of them. Oh, this is the original primer that I used. Brilliant, brilliant hobby primer, but really not suitable for this particular build. Um, right, I've bought, these are the best metallic paints I've ever used. This is a Vallejo acrylic metal color, and this one is steel. And this is one that I had before, aluminium, and it's a really beautiful color. I bought 2 more as well. I actually planned to get the entire range, but that's for hobby painting. Do you know what? I put them down somewhere and they've gone. But this is the one that I bought primarily for the Routemaster. So all of the metal will get stripped down, and then it'll get resprayed with steel, and then I'll weather it up with some washers, which is basically. And I'm going to keep watching my YouTube channel because I'm going to show you. See if I've. Oh, here we are. I've got the other 2 paints. I've got exhaust manifold, and I've got pale burnt metal, and I've not really used these fully yet. I have been trying them out on a model, which is not anything to do with Routemaster. But this is effectively what I'm going to try and reach with the Routemaster. And this is, I've put various different color metals on there, and I've been trying out some paint which is called blue exhaust. So it's not absolutely fantastic yet, but that's the first time I've used it. So you can see how I'm planning on weathering it. I want this to look old but looked after. So you can see in the deep recesses I've got washers in there, and the washers come from the washers I generally use. This isn't the correct color, but these are Citadel washers, and this particular pot, this is I never find where they put the size. This is 24 mil, and this is about £5. Now, when I'm doing the models, that's fine. That's brilliant. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to make my own washers up, and I can make this much wash for about less than 50p. So that's why I say watch my YouTube channel for the Routemaster, because it's going to be mostly black and oily coloured washers. They're going to be quite simple to make up. So I'm going to be making big pots of wash on the cheap. So it may be of interest to people. It may not. But obviously what I'm doing here is combining the skills that I've learned from various hobbies and bringing them all together to try and make this look as best I can. So yeah, is there anything else? I've also got me wet and dry, but wet and dries don't need to show you that because you all know what wet and dry looks like. The only thing is, obviously, I've only used this outside because it says explosive, flammable. So yeah, be careful. But I'll keep you posted on how much stuff I've used, because now that I've got lots of chassis, it might actually be worth me starting on that. There's no point me doing just a couple of bits and then next week I do a couple more bits. So yeah, that's it then. Yeah.
Okay.
So, is there anything else you want to finish up with, Horlicks? Anything we've forgotten?
No, not that I can think of. Just thank you to everyone who's been watching.
Yeah, no problems. We've got 17 watching now. Obviously, some would have died off because we finished the build, which I think is very good numbers. So we're obviously doing something right. I can confirm, I think this went down very well last week. We are actually going to have a very hello Miniatures Paintbrush. How are you? Very Miniatures Paintbrush. If you can check out his channel, he is one of the most talented hobbyists I know, and he is so relaxed. And I've never known anyone to have so much fun with their hobby. Absolutely fantastic guy. So full of positive energy. I can't imagine how he can be so positive 24/7. But anyway, next week we're going to have another very special. I say another. So we're going to have Dave Sayers agreed to come back on the show. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think he went down very well last time.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Very informative as well.
Yeah, yeah. Now we're trying to work out a schedule which is going to work on a 4-week rotation. So we're looking for another guest, which I'll keep you updated. So we're hopefully going to have Dave Say come on the show once every 4 weeks. We'll have somebody else come on the show once every 4 weeks. Or the second guest we may rotate between. Oh, miniatures paintbrush, you are. If you weren't deserving, I wouldn't have given you praise. But yeah, we're hopefully possibly going to bring on as many different guests as we can. I'd like to get people to talk about their builds. I find it interesting that the parts that sorry, I've got it on you, Horlicks, and I'm talking. Not that we don't want to see you, Horlicks. Yeah, so I find it interesting that the parts that I mean, this last 4 weeks is probably for me been the best issues because there's so much to think about and really focus on. And I know that there's some of you out there that isn't the best bit for you. I know some of you really enjoyed the chassis because it went from like this big to this big within 2 weeks. But I'm really enjoying adding in the small detail. And now I'm at the point where I can start my second build and I think I can really go to town on it. And I can really take my time because we've still got another 2 years before this is complete. So there really is no rush. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see. So I'll bring you 4 weekly updates on my build. Obviously, I haven't got much to report this week, just the primer. There was another primer that the lady talked about, which is a very good metal one, but I was discussing quite at length about the purpose that I was using it for, which is this build. And she says, well, it sounds to me like this is more appropriate. But the other one was just basically a primer that's very suitable for car parts. I've referred to this as car parts because it's metal, and obviously I can use the tips and tricks that I've used from hobby painting. But the bottom line is painting metal miniatures with high amounts of detail isn't necessarily the same as painting big flat bits of metal. So I think we're there on the primer. I've got half a ton of wet and dry, and I know how to do my washers.
I mean, the only thing you could do is try the other primer as well, just so you definitely know for sure what one you think you're going to prefer.
I'll be honest with you, I'm very much the kind of person that if I'm using something and I'm happy with the results, even if there is something better out there, I'm happy with what I'm using. I mean, if somebody else used the other one and said, "Oh, try it, it's definitely better," then I might consider it. But I mean, this result, I'm happy. By the time you get a couple of layers of paint on there and some gloss over the top, that's going to be so tough. And I'm only getting through that when I'm deliberately scratching it hard. What I'm looking at is if somebody accidentally knocked it, I don't want it to scratch. The primer that we had before, it took very little effort to scratch it. So you're not. I don't think you can do anything to protect it from deliberate damage. And I think it's at the point now where you're only going to scratch that if it's deliberate. But the gloss, I mean, let's just take this guy again. I hope this doesn't go wrong because I did put quite a few hours in this guy. Right, so also I've got my tobacco tin out. So this is the guy with the... There's only one coat of gloss on this, by the way. And that's actually a lot harder. You see there, I'm scratching that, and it's not... I'm not scratching it really hard, but that's one coat of gloss varnish has protected that quite well. So Yeah, I think by the time we put some coats of paint on there, couple of really thin coats, and then a couple of thin coats of gloss varnish, I think that that's going to be about as protected as it can be. Okay, guys, so I'll give it a few seconds so that if you want to ask any questions, you can. But I'm looking at winding up the show now. It's been absolutely brilliant. So next week we are doing the radiator, which I think is going to be it's going to be fun because it's going to be more of the same because it's small detail, but at the same time it's going to be something different. So I'm really looking forward to that. So with that, I will sign off and I will see you next week.
Yeah, brilliant. Yep, see everyone next week. Enjoy the hot weather. Make sure you eat sun cream. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be
drink
40 degrees on
plenty.
Friday, and apparently it's going to break the record for the heat.
Oh,
Apparently,
I don't want to know. I really don't want to know.
I
And I'm
think the
on holiday
highest we've
coming up.
had is like 36.5 or something, and it's supposed to go up to 38 or something like that. So we'll see.
Actually, I'm gonna. Oh, Christian. Hello, Chris, my ex housemate, who's very sadly gone off to bigger and better pastures. We're no good for him anymore, so he's gone to a much better bus company than us. So yeah, we're very sad to see him leave. But yeah, tune in next week and we'll chat some more.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I'm signing off. So take care. Miss you already. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.